Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. My name is Yvonne Heath with Love Your Life to Death, and I'm so happy to have in the studio Stu McKinnon, who is a paramedic, and Wayne Ross, a retired police officer. Stu and I discuss how difficult it is when paramedics come on the scene and people are ill prepared for end of life, even if it is something expected. We also talk about the fact that our emergency medical service professionals are also ill prepared for end of life, and that makes it difficult in their careers and their personal lives. Wayne Ross and I chat about the same thing, and he does agree, and we believe it should be taught in schools with more emphasis. And Wayne and I just might go on the road. Here's a quick clip. So you've been a paramedic for 8 years, and in that, what other roles have you had?
Aside from being a paramedic working regular duties on the road, I've also been the PR coordinator for 6 years, so doing speaking events in the community, trying to teach people about what it's like to be a paramedic and teaching people how to react to emergencies, including death and dying. I've also been the senior operations paramedic, so an acting superintendent looking after the paramedics and taking care of their day-to-day needs, and the lead on the CISM team, which is the critical incident stress management team, which looks after our paramedics and peers when a critical incident happens, such as a death of a colleague or coworker, which we've seen in the emergency responder field quite frequently over the last few years due to the stress of the job and dealing with other people's grief.
Right, those sound like very difficult roles, and so did you have extra preparation for those roles, or teaching, or?
A lot of it was learning as I went, because some of these roles don't have any training. When you come out of paramedic school, you're trained to respond to emergencies, and emergencies only. You're not trained on how to deal with the families that you deal with. You're not trained on how to deal with your peers when they have a bad day. Those are things you have to learn as you go. It seems like those things are changing now, and maybe those will become part of the curriculum, but when I started 8 years ago, it was all learning as I went.
So that's interesting, because 8 years isn't a long time, so you do feel that that is changing?
Yeah, especially in the last few years.
Okay.
It's really become an important topic. Like I said, we've seen too many first responders either lose their lives because of issues and grief, or they've lost their careers because they can no longer function to a level where they can respond in the community.
And we're here now with Wayne Ross. Hello, Wayne. How are you today?
Hi, Yvonne.
Wayne has been he is a retired police officer, was on the force for 28 years.
Yes.
Is that correct? And 9 years as a detective in organized crime, or like, as he likes to call it, disorganized crime. And has been first responder in many suicides, homicides, sudden infant death syndrome, so has certainly been faced with death many times in his career, and so we're here to talk about that, so welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, and so before the break, I said that I had looked at how many deaths there were in 1 year in Ontario from 2013 to 2014, and the number was 96,865, or well, that was the number. And I found that very amazing to think, wow, how many people that would impact, and the fact that we're a death-phobic society and ill-prepared, and the ripple effect of that. And I find that quite astonishing, actually.
Yeah, it's alarming when you hear it like that. And of course, not all of those would involve, police action sort of thing. But of course, police are usually first, on scene, or shortly thereafter.
Sure.
So it is a fact of life. And then I think too, you're balancing our first mandate, or whatever we're to do with enforcement and investigation. So the other side of the coin probably doesn't get addressed.